Hello, everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on True Story FM. I'm Pete Wright, and I'm here with Nikki Kinzer. Hello, Nikki.
Hello, Pete Wright.
How you feeling?
Great. How are you?
I'm feeling great and positive and
Awesome.
well-planned. And yeah, right? I'm feeling on top of the world.
Ready to be proactive?
I am. You know what it is? My partner, Andy, is out of town. And when he's not around, I get a lot done.
Do you?
Yeah, because I
can
can just do.
Or like, why? What happens
because
when Andy's home?
We just end up trying to accomplish a lot more. And so when he's gone, I'm not thinking about his stuff, and I just do my stuff. And it's like a vacation. It's like a productivity vacation. I can only think about one thing at a time. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just brilliant. And we're going to be talking all about planning and productivity. Today, we're starting our little, not really starting, I guess we're continuing our little productivity series.
Yes.
April productivity celebration.
Stuff. Productivity
Palooza. And we're starting with what to avoid when planning your week. Not how to plan your week, but what not to do when planning your week. And I think it's going to be super useful. But before we do that, head over to takecontroladhd.com. Get to know us a little bit better. You can listen to the show right there on the website or subscribe to our mailing list right there on the homepage, and we'll email you with the latest episode each week. Connect with us on Twitter or Facebook at Take Control ADHD. And if this show has ever touched you or helped you make a change in your life for the better, if you've ever found you understand your relationship with ADHD in a new way, please consider supporting the show directly through Patreon. Patreon is listener-supported podcasting. With a few dollars a month, you can help guarantee we continue to grow the show, add new features, invest more heavily in our community. You can visit patreon.com/the ADHD to learn more. And I'll tell you right now, you may be seeing the fruits of some of that labor in the form of our new ADHD podcast resource database, which is we've just demoed here on the live stream for folks who are watching along with us, and hopefully we'll be having that released by this time next week, and it will be the latest thing that our members have supported for the show, and it's fantastic. And it's just
pretty cool.
I mean, so delighted that listener support allows us to do more stuff like this. So that's where we are. I do want to say a very quick, thorough shout out to our newest members, Deanna and C. Alex and Linda and Donna and Robert. And I think these are just people who signed up over the weekend. Like, thank you so much. What are you doing with your weekend? Signing up and supporting us. I'm like humbled by the attention that you all are giving us here. So thank you to our new members and old. Again, patreon.com/the ADHD podcast to learn more. Do we have other announcements?
Well, we always have study hall. Every Thursday afternoon is available. So check out the website if you'd like to join us in study hall and work with fabulous people alongside you and get some stuff done.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about GPS, the workshop, a little bit later, because it all has to do, the workshop has to do with planning, and we're talking about planning. So that's coming up.
Oh, good. All right. Well, let's get to it, Nikki. Let's talk about what to avoid when planning your week.
So when you think of being productive, what do you think? What does it mean?
Oh, okay. I'm going to go back to our organizing definition. Finding what you need when you need it, right? Productivity for me is getting stuff done when I intend to get it done.
Oh, brilliant.
What do you think about that?
I love it.
That's just hot off the dome right here. Like, that's just
fantastic. It's great, actually, because that's what we think, right? To be productive means you're getting things done. However, to be the most productive, it helps to know what you're doing.
Right. There's that's sort of, I guess, the third vector. So for me, it's like I need to know what I'm doing and when I have to do it, like when I have available to do it. And that's usually where I screw it up. Like, I way over plan.
Or people will do the exact opposite and don't plan at all. They'll skip the planning piece and they go straight to work. So it's not a happy medium, right? It's either you don't plan and you go straight to work, or you overplan and you still don't get the work done because you probably have overplanned, right? Yeah, so there's this not a happy place. So we want to find a happy place. But the problem with planning that I have found with my clients is that it's really overwhelming, especially when you don't know what you're doing, where to start. Everything feels urgent. You're looking at several tasks on different task lists that are everywhere, paper, computer, notes, right? I mean, it can be anywhere. So of course, the work isn't always getting done, or the work is getting done, but it's on a very reactive type of mode and you're not very proactive. So this is the thing. When we don't plan, it's almost like you're playing darts in the dark. Imagine that for a moment.
Yeah.
So you're in
a room full of friends and family.
People. Yeah. So, yes, exactly. So you've got the lights off and you're just throwing darts and you are hoping that you don't get your wife or your child or...
I think you just described the plot of like Saw 7 or The Purge 9.
That's right. Yeah. Well, to get your target is pretty slim. We know that, right? So we want the lights on.
Yeah.
We want to flip those lights on.
Get the lights on. Yeah.
That's right. So that's what we do with planning. So today, what I want to do is just share with you a few ideas on what to avoid when you're planning your week, and really hope that it gives you some different insights on how to plan. And, let's go with this and see what you think. And if you have questions, I know that Pete will ask them, because that's what you do.
That's right. All right. So where do you start?
Okay. Number one thing that you don't want to do is not have a standing appointment to plan your week.
Sure.
Okay. So the problem with not having kind of a regular time that you do this, and I'm not saying that it's a regular time all the time. I mean, we know that inconsistent behavior is not usual for the ADHDer. But when you don't have any type of time scheduled or intended to do this, the likelihood of you ever getting any planning done is really, really, really slim.
Super slim.
So we want to have some kind of thought process where you're thinking, okay, when does it make sense for me to plan out my week? And for most people, if it's a Monday through Friday work week, you're going to want to do that on a Monday morning, maybe on a Friday afternoon, but I don't know if Friday afternoons are pretty shot for me. I don't really do a whole lot. But Monday morning, it's fresh. It's a new week. It can definitely work. But if you don't have anything planned, or if you don't have a time, it's just probably not going to get done. So we want to think about that.
I still advocate for Thursday evening or Thursday afternoon. Thursday afternoon has been the sweet spot for me because, I used to plan Monday morning and it was always too late. There are always fires that start right away Monday morning. And it's so hard to put the gate down. It says, I know I'm here, but you can't have me yet, world. Like, I know I'm working. I know I'm working. I know I'm working. You don't get access to me until I'm ready. That proved impossible for me. I just don't have the willpower for it. But I find that Thursday afternoon, I'm not yet in the Friday, catch up on the last few things and meetings. I am, it's still early enough that I'm fresh with the stuff I didn't accomplish this week. And so Thursday, I can build out my calendar for next week and then know when it hits Monday morning, I'm able to kind of roll with the punches. If anything came in on Friday or over the weekend that I need to adjust, fine. But if I adjust nothing, I know I have a plan and I haven't had to be stressed about it all weekend long. So I am an advocate, definitely an advocate for the Thursday afternoon planning session.
Absolutely. That is definitely something worth trying. And that's exactly what I would encourage listeners to do is practice some different times during the week and see what works best for you. So it could be a Thursday afternoon, Thursday morning. It could be Friday. It could be Sunday. Some people like to do some planning on Sunday. So I definitely say go into it with, a practice, kind of curious mentality of where you'll get it done. Because if you find that you schedule it and you're not getting it done on a Thursday afternoon, or like what Pete said, I tried doing it Monday mornings and it just wasn't getting done, then we want to try something different. Then we want to see, okay, this isn't happening. I'm not getting it done. So I'm going to change the time and I'm going to see how this works. So we want to keep experimenting on something that will work most of the time. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing you're fighting against there is that our instinct is, well, it didn't work for me to do my planning on Monday morning. I guess planning doesn't work for me.
I can't plan.
That would be the wrong lesson to get out of this. It took me years to figure out Thursday would work for me. I tried Sunday. There were invariably too many like family demands, family dinner, those kinds of things for me to get it in my head. The planning had to be like, there are a couple of emergent rules. It had to be during the workday because my head's in a workday mode.
Right.
And I also needed to not be rushed by all of these other kind of work demands. And Thursday was the sweet spot. Find the sweet spot. It serves you to find the sweet spot.
Absolutely. All right. So the second thing that we want to avoid is having your planning sessions be too long. Unfortunately, when they get drawn out, they are going to be more likely not to happen. So we want our planning session to be pretty simple, pretty concise, clear lists or checklist, that you can just go off and check off pretty quickly. And the reason the planning session doesn't have to be a very long period of time is because it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
So that's the thing that we want to avoid here is perfection. Because I can guarantee you whatever you plan on Monday is going to be adjusted on Tuesday. Very rarely does the plan go exactly the way that you think it's going to go. So ideally, you want your planning sessions to be around 30 minutes long. You want to have a chance to be able to look at your task list, look at your calendar, figure out what your priorities are, match those priorities to your calendar, and put some intention behind your planning. But we really only need to do it for about 30
I would
minutes.
say that once you get started planning and you start doing it, like, I've been doing it now for a number of years on Thursday at 4:00, and I have it in my calendar blocked out 4 to 4:30. It rarely takes me more than 10 or 15 minutes.
Right. That's exactly true. And I'm glad you say that, because the more it's a habit and the more you keep up with your task list and you're keeping up with everything, it doesn't take very long. So at the beginning, it's probably going to take longer than 30 minutes just because you're getting used to what it is that you need to look at. But I'm glad you say that, Pete, because yes, with time, it can get faster and quicker and just, it's more fluid and just easy. It comes to you easier, I should say. Not easy, but easier.
So even as I've been planning for a number of years, doing my weekly planning and putting all my tasks in the calendar when I'm going to do it, I still get bit by something that almost every week I get bit by this one thing. And it happens to be the one thing that is number 3 on your list of things not to do when planning. Yeah. Allow me to be case example number 1.
Please tell people what this is.
It is.
What's number 3?
You get in there, you start planning, you're feeling good about planning, you're moving tasks around, and then you see that one task, and you know that task. That task is the one that says,
yes,
do me now. You can do it. Just do it now. I'm fine. You just knock it out. It'll take you 2 minutes. Don't worry. It'll be great. And you say, okay, task. I think I can do it. I think I can sneak it in.
I've got your back.
Yeah, I think I can do it. I think I can do it. And then you start doing the task. And that 2 minutes turns into 5 minutes, turns into a half hour. And before long, you've started working for your day and you have not planned. Am I saying it about right? Is that the experience?
Right on.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, absolutely. And a couple of reasons why this happens. One is that your planning sessions might be too long. And so you might, without even knowing it, you're having that anxiety of, I've got to get this work done. So that little task that says, open me is going to be even louder because you're going to be pulled to want to do that because you have that anxiety of having to get the work done. But yes, that can definitely happen. And, do you remember that book? I'm sure you read it to your kids, because we read them to our kids all the time. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want this and he's going to want that. And if you give him that, it's kind of the same thing. It's like you're going to open up that one task and then another one's going to want your attention and the other one's going to want your attention. So I think there's a mindset here that has to kind of come in, and that is you're only planning for this period of time. You have the whole day to do your work. And the planning can be just as important as the work because it's getting you organized to do the work. It's getting you in the mindset to get into the work. Like you're not as reactive. You can feel a little bit more in control. So I would say, think about that as you're going into your planning session. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to work. Put a big sticky note on your computer if you need to, just to remind you not to work during that time.
Yeah. And think about, I just want to go back to that one point you just made, which is so valuable for me, which is about getting yourself in the mindset of work. Think about how bad you are if you're like me at making transitions. Transitioning from work to not work and not work to work is really hard. And sometimes it's seductive to trick yourself, to cheat yourself into thinking, if I just do that one little 2-minute task, then you will be making that transition into work. But what you're really doing is you're just chumming the water for distraction. You're just looking for more stuff not to do. You're not really actually focused on finding more focus throughout the rest of the week to come.
That's right. So quick review. You want to have a standing appointment to plan. You want to make sure that your planning sessions are not too long, and you want to plan. Don't do the work.
Yeah.
plan. Don't do the work.
Yeah.
Now, next week, we're going to talk about the daily kind of plan, daily review, whatever you want to call it. So here, Pete on a Thursday afternoon has thought about his week, reflected about this past week, what's going to happen into this next week. But then there's this also like daily review that has to happen. I'm sure you check your to-do-ist every day, right?
Yeah, multiple times a day. So if I were to characterize the difference between what we talked about this week and what we're going to talk about next week, this week is about big rocks. This week, I'm looking at next week and finding where are the big blocks of time that I'm going to be able to do sets of tasks or sets of client activities. And daily, at the end of each day, I'm looking at what is tomorrow sort of half hour by half hour going to look like in terms of moving those smaller rocks around. So I think that's a great way to pick up.
Absolutely. One last thing that I want to say that we started to talk about at the beginning of the show, the GPS program.
Yes.
This is a workshop that I am leading, and it's a 6-week workshop, and it stands for guided planning sessions. We've talked about it in the past. But what this workshop does is it actually gives you the time and space to do this planning with the support of myself and others that are going through the same thing. And I have a system that I go through. We have a kind of a step-by-step that's broken up by time of what you're going to do during this 5 minutes, what you're going to do during this 10 minutes. And it's really been incredible to witness how people feel about planning in week 1 and what happens to them at week 6. I'm not saying that, it's no problem and it's like easy peasy, but there's this like transformation that happens, and they think about planning in a different way. They're more realistic. They give themselves more grace. They understand their ADHD more.
More confidence, less fear.
More confidence, less fear. Exactly. That's exactly it. And so if you are struggling with planning and you would like to learn more of how you can do this in an ADHD friendlier way, I highly recommend that you check out GPS. I'm going to be offering this workshop throughout the year at different times, and check it out.
Excellent. Link in the show notes. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. Thanks for putting up with my technical issues. I don't know what that was all about. We appreciate you downloading and listening to this show. We deeply appreciate your time and your attention. Don't forget, if you have something to contribute about the conversation, we're heading over to the Show Talk channel in the Discord server, and you can join us right there by becoming a supporting member at the deluxe level. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright. We'll see you right back here next week on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.